Thanksgiving in Denver brings a special kind of chill. The kind that stings your cheeks and makes your breath curl in the crisp air. For Emily Johnson, that late November cold was nothing compared to the nerves fluttering in her chest as she made her way up the porch steps of a quiet suburban home. The home where her boyfriend's family waited. The Millers, who until this moment had only been stories told over coffee and laughter.
Emily's arms ached just a little from holding a carefully wrapped box. Inside were the tokens she'd chosen with so much thought. A box of handcrafted chocolates, a bottle of Napa Valley wine, and in a sealed envelope, a $2,000 gift card. She wanted her first meeting to be memorable for all the right reasons. To show gratitude, generosity, and respect. Beside her, Daniel squeezed her hand, warmth and reassurance in his touch. "Relax. They'll love you," he whispered in her ear, and for a fleeting second, Emily believed him. The doorbell chimed, echoing through the house. The door swung open, and there stood Linda Miller. Tall, poised, her eyes sharp and assessing, Linda looked Emily up and down in a single, silent sweep. The hallway behind her was filled with the golden glow of Thanksgiving, laughter, and the scent of roasted turkey. Yet, in that instant, the world narrowed to Linda's cool gaze. Linda's voice was cold, unyielding. She looked at the gift box, her lips tight. "So that's what you brought? Chocolates and wine? Looks like you just grabbed whatever was on sale at the supermarket. And a gift card? Really? That feels greedy, like you're just trying to buy your way in." The words landed with a sting, sharp as winter air. Emily felt her face flush, her heart pounding. The laughter in the house faded to a hush. Daniel's father, Richard, stood in the hallway, his features carved with surprise. Megan, Daniel's younger sister, peeked from behind the banister, her eyes wide. Emily set the box down on the table, her hands trembling just enough to betray her. She lifted out the envelope, holding it delicately between her fingers. Her voice shook, but beneath it was a strength she hadn't known she possessed. "I see," she said, her words soft but steady. "I thought carefully about this. I wanted to bring something meaningful. But if you think it's fake, then I'd rather not offend you." A hush fell, the kind that fills the space after a storm. Emily slipped the gift card back into her purse, feeling the weight of 100 unspoken words pressing down on her. She picked up the chocolates and wine, and for a moment, just looked at Linda. Not with anger, but with a kind of quiet sadness. "I didn't come here to impress anyone with money. I came here to share a holiday with people I hoped would become family. But clearly, respect isn't mutual. And let me be clear, if you think I'm here for your son's bank account, you're wrong. I stand on my own 2 feet. Maybe what your family needs isn't more money, but a little more kindness." Her words lingered in the air, heavier than the scent of Thanksgiving dinner. Daniel looked stunned, his eyes darting between his mother and Emily. Richard's face was etched with a disappointment he didn't bother to hide. Megan's whisper, barely audible, cut through the silence. "Mom." Daniel finally found his voice tight with emotion. "Mom, that was out of line. Emily's right. You owe her an apology." But Emily didn't wait. She didn't need to. With her shoulders straight and her head high, she stepped back out into the cold. Daniel, quick to follow, concern and frustration mingling on his face. The door closed behind them, but the echo of what had just happened hovered in the hallway, thick and undeniable. Linda slumped into a chair, her face pale, her hands trembling. Richard watched her, disappointment in his eyes, shaking his head. Megan lingered at the stairs, her gaze filled with disbelief. For the first time, Linda realized that her words, her sharp tongue, might have just built a wall too high to climb over. That in a single moment, she could lose the woman her son truly cared for. The woman who had come not for money or approval, but for the hope of belonging. Outside, the sky was painted in early winter gray. Emily stood by the car, Daniel's arm around her, his presence a silent apology. She shivered, but not from the cold. "I'm sorry," Daniel said softly, the pain in his eyes raw and real. "She's never like this. I don't know what came over her." Emily looked at him, her own pain mirrored in his expression. "It's not your fault, but I won't let anyone treat me like I'm less than I am. Not even for you.
Daniel nodded, his respect for her growing in that quiet moment. And I wouldn't want you to. I love you for who you are, for your heart. Inside, the Miller family sat in uneasy silence. The turkey cooled on the table, untouched. The laughter and warmth that had filled the house before now seemed a distant memory. Linda stared at her hands, regret flickering in her eyes. She thought of her own first Thanksgiving with Richard's family, the nerves, the hope. She remembered how she'd felt judged, unwelcome. And yet, here she was, repeating the same mistake. Megan broke the silence, her voice uncertain. "Mom, why did you do that?" Linda looked up, her voice barely a whisper. I don't know. She struggled to find the words. I wanted to protect this family, but maybe I forgot what really matters. Richard spoke then, his voice gentle but firm. You wanted to protect us, but you hurt someone who only wanted to be part of our lives. That's not the kind of family we are, or at least it shouldn't be. Linda's eyes filled with tears. She realized she had a choice to hold on to her pride, or to reach out with humility and make things right. As the sun slipped lower behind snow-dusted rooftops, Emily and Daniel sat together in the car, hands entwined. The silence between them was a comfort, not an absence. I wanted them to like me, Emily admitted, her voice small. But I won't change who I am just to fit in. You don't have to, Daniel said. You're enough. And if my family can't see that, then that's their loss. Back inside, Linda stood up. She brushed away her tears and walked to the window, watching as her son held Emily close in the driveway. For the first time, she saw not a threat, but a young woman with courage. Someone who chose kindness over convenience. Someone who loved her son enough to stand up for herself. Dinner passed in a blur. The turkey tasted bland, the conversation awkward. Each member of the Miller family retreated into their own thoughts, replaying what had happened, wondering how to fix what had been broken. That night, Linda sat alone in the living room, the quiet pressing in from all sides. She thought of her son's happiness, of the way Emily had looked her in the eye, unafraid, of the words that now echoed in her mind. Maybe what your family needs isn't more money, but a little more kindness. The next morning, the city was blanketed in a soft layer of new snow. Emily and Daniel were packing their bags, preparing to head back to their apartment. There was a knock at the door. It was Linda. She stood there, hands clasped, her posture uncertain. The sharp edges in her voice were gone, replaced by something softer. Emily, Linda began, her eyes glistening. I owe you an apology. I was wrong. I let my own insecurities get the better of me. You didn't deserve that. I hope you'll give me a chance to make it right. Emily looked at Linda, searching her face for sincerity. She saw not the coldness from the day before, but a mother who was learning slowly, painfully, how to let go of fear and embrace something new. I appreciate that, Emily said quietly. But respect has to be earned, not just given. I want to be part of this family, but not if it means losing myself. Linda nodded, tears slipping down her cheeks. I'll do better. For Daniel. For all of us. Daniel stepped forward, relief and gratitude shining in his eyes. Thank you, Mom. The tension that had hung over the house began to melt, replaced by the fragile beginnings of hope. That Thanksgiving, the Millers learned a lesson that would stay with them far longer than the taste of turkey or the warmth of wine. They learned that family isn't built on grand gestures or expensive gifts. It's built on respect, on kindness, on the courage to admit when we've been wrong. Emily's strength became the spark that softened old defenses and opened the door to real connection. Daniel's loyalty reminded everyone that love means standing up for those who matter. And Linda's apology, though late, was the first step toward healing a rift she never meant to create. As the years passed, Emily and Linda built a relationship rooted not in suspicion, but in understanding. They learned to laugh together, to share stories over coffee, to celebrate each other's victories, and comfort each other in loss. That first Thanksgiving became a story they told not with regret, but with gratitude, a reminder of how far they'd come. The lesson is simple, yet profound. Respect is the foundation of every family bond. Gifts may carry a price tag, but kindness is priceless. When we judge others by appearances or assumptions, we risk destroying relationships before they even begin. But when we choose humility, when we reach out with honesty and open hearts, we build something that lasts. So as you gather with family and friends this season, remember, it's not the gifts that matter most, but the love and respect you share. Let kindness guide your words. Let understanding shape your actions. And never be afraid to speak your truth, even when your voice trembles. If this story moved you, or if you've ever faced a moment where standing up for yourself changed everything, share your thoughts in the comments. What does respect mean to you? How has kindness shaped your own family? Your story might be the inspiration someone else needs today.